If you're exhausted by October and convinced you bought the wrong curriculum, I need you to stop shopping and look at your systems instead. Hi, I'm a productivity and systems coach, and I started homeschooling this year. I watched brilliant, capable women running businesses and households completely fall apart when they added homeschooling into the mix. So today, I'm going to show you the actual mechanism behind homeschool burnout and how to fix it before you feel like quitting. We're going to look at the invisible weight that you're carrying because it's there and why your planner's lying to you. And we're also going to look at the one system that you need to build this week. Because if you don't fix the root cause, there's no amount of color-coded bins or new math books that are going to save your school year or your sanity. Okay, I'm going to walk you through a little bit of your morning. You wake up, you figure out what to wear, you figure out what your kids are wearing, what they're going to have for breakfast, what time math starts, whether your toddler plays with blocks or watches a show, what's for lunch, right? You have to decide if you're doing science today, if you're going to push it to tomorrow. And by 10 a.m., you've made 50 micro decisions. Your brain is experiencing cognitive overload, and that's not because of a lack of discipline. This is a biological limit. So when your brain hits that limit, it shuts down. You start snapping at your kids, you abandon lesson plans, and you start to feel like a failure. You can recognize it most if you've ever gotten to the end of the day and someone's like, "What's for dinner?" And you're like, "Shut up, everybody's having cereal," right? Like this is when your brain has just had enough and it can't handle it anymore, okay? Maybe you don't say shut up, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, so a lot of people will tell me that they think the problem is that they're not organized enough, but the actual problem is that they're relying on their brain to make decisions in real time instead of relying on a system. I'm going to be very, very clear about what a system is not, and then we'll go into what a system is, okay? A system is not a rigid, minute-by-minute, time-blocked schedule that falls apart the second someone spills milk. It's not the beautiful planner that you bought at Target, and it's not a color-coded bin for every subject, although we love our color-coded bins. I'm not knocking them. I'm just telling you that that's not a system. A system is a pre-made decision. So it's a set of rules that tells you what happens next, so your brain doesn't have to figure it out on the fly, okay? To stop the burnout, you have to remove all of those micro decisions. And we do this by building a framework of pre-made decisions. The easiest one you could do is lay your clothes out the night before, right? One less decision, depending on how many kids you have, it might be 7 less decisions that you have to make the next day, right? First, you're going to decide what the sequence is, not the time. So instead of saying math is at 9 a.m., you say math happens after breakfast. So if breakfast is late because you had a late night, somebody was up vomiting or whatever was going on, math is just late, but the sequence remains intact. You don't have to decide what to do next because the sequence is going to decide for you, okay? Second, build an emergency minimum routine. When the baby's crying, the dog threw up, you have a client call in an hour, everything is like bearing down on you at once, right? It seems like there's 17 different emergencies happening. What is the absolute minimum acceptable school day? I want you to decide that on a good day and write it down so that way when a bad day hits, you don't have to negotiate with yourself or you don't feel like crap at the end of the day because you did nothing, right? You just execute the emergency minimum. Now, even with a sequence, you're carrying this invisible pressure of comparison, right? You see the aesthetic homeschool moms on Instagram doing nature walks and baking bread, and you start to feel like your sequence is inadequate. And I know that because I follow those women on Instagram, and I also feel inadequate. Like I should be making my own pasta and my own bread as well. So I want you to be aware that while it is beautiful and fun, and sure, maybe we can try and add those things into our life at some point, that pressure starts to create a secondary layer of burnout that you might not be aware of. So you're not just tired from the work, but you're exhausted from the guilt of not doing the work perfectly. Or you start adding things into your sequence that don't belong there, just to keep up with whatever you think homeschooling should be, right? Oh, we have to teach our kids how to make things from scratch. Great. Well, we're still trying to get all the other stuff in order. Maybe put that on like a future list, right? We'll put that over here. So we'll figure out bread when, maybe it's summertime and we don't have to do all of these other things. You have to audit your reality, right? So look at your actual life. Are you running a business? Are you managing a toddler? Do you have teens that are in 17 different sports? Are you dealing with a chronic illness, right? Your homeschool system has to be built for the life that you actually have, not the one you wish you had or the one that somebody else thinks you should have. If you're a working mom, your system might mean like reading books out loud at bedtime instead of morning time. That's not a failure of homeschooling. It's an adaptive system. one that works for you in your life. Structure will help you create calm. Calm creates clarity, and clarity is what allows you to show up for your kids without losing yourself in the process. If your schedule is currently driving you crazy, you need to watch this next video where I break down exactly how to build a homeschool schedule that actually works for your specific life. I'll see you there.